What's the point of cricket?
Boys.
Why do you do it?
Great cricket is a prison.
We're going to look at the perils of sweeping.
We're the good cricketers, the great cricketers, real Brad.
Dips his head.
If you're going to do it to England.
Well, he's out now. He got 40.
The World Cup rolls on with fast-forwarded anthems, learning who Zimbabwean cricketers are, fines for getting knocked out too soon, coaches quitting and being sacked, and South Africa revelling in the favourites tag. What a world we live in. It's semi-final time. We try to figure out which opening batter will break the shackles first, and if the final is as preordained as some players believe it is. Meanwhile, we farewell Alyssa Healy with 158 perfect cricket runs in a perfect ODI series clean sweep on the way to at least not being able to lose the multi-format series against India. We look ahead to the test in Perth on Thursday and farewell the test against the West Indies in March. Sophie Molyneux is already injured again. What does it all mean? There's also what's getting you hot. The Shield is back this week, AskTGC, and we'll tell you how to feel for another week of TGC. Pezza, hello to you. Farewell, summer. Hello, autumn. And hello to you.
So speak for yourself. I see an endless summer of cricket. I see 12 months of cricket all year round.
Fuck yeah.
We go straight from... Now, just on the World Cup, I am red hot for these semis.
Mate, everyone is.
I'm absolutely red hot. Couldn't sleep if I tried with some of these games coming up. So mouth-watering they are. So many games that I circled in the calendar are about to come to fruition. And yeah, I mean, I just cannot wait. Sorry, I can't explain enough how much I'm into it.
You are flabbergasted over these semi-finals.
I'm stunned. I'm stunned into silence. I'm refreshing cricket pages, cricket news.
Yeah.
A lot of news this morning.
Move on.
But rather, I mean, we'll get into my own thoughts on what's coming up with the T20 World Cup.
Okay.
And also, filthy Australia's not there.
Yeah.
As well. They've got their own punishment though, which we'll come to. But I just think a lot of the feelings of the nation are reflected in the comments from the punters this week and fans around the world. So why don't we hear them?
Mm-hmm. Hey guys, just a quick one from me. I know it's not my fault personally, but I just want to say how sorry I am that you have to keep watching this tournament. I get that there's probably some contractual obligations and, you're getting a bit of money from it.
Wrong.
It's March and the footy started and it must just suck so much. So, again, I'm so sorry.
Hey, people love it in Australia. They love it.
Knights beating Cowboys in Vegas. That's hot. Premiership, boys. Oh, come on.
Holy shit.
Boys, do you reckon Delta Goodrum is going to win the Eurovision for Australia?
Yeah.
Bring it home?
Yeah.
Boys, why do I know for a fact that Midge's right arm, whatever the fucks, would absolutely detonate my front pad? But legit, absolute go to the game. So sad she's gone.
No cricket since the fifth test in Sydney has meant I've been pretty bored. Did Trump and Israel put on a good power play and Iran pick up a few poles late? Can I have that war in grey terms? When's the fucking footy start?
People are saying.
I'm scared South Africa haven't had the loss they need to have. But surely history can't repeat itself. Like, it just can't, surely. And then England in their 3-spin attack of Dawson, Ahmed, and... oh, shit.
What's getting me hot? Well, the big ball of fucking burning plasma that has just appeared in the sky above London for the first time in about 4 decades. Oh, and the West Indies fucked it against India. Wouldn't surprise me if the Ambanis or Jay Shah chucked them a couple of extra quid ahead of the IPL coming up soon. Anyway, off to get sunburnt in UV2 London weather before an Iranian kamikaze drone eviscerates me and my family.
So I just felt like that was the general temperature of
it made Charlie laugh.
Fans around the world. I guess, yeah, you got a little bit of conflict knocking about.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. But we haven't got the IPL draw just yet. Anyway, look, you know all the ways you can get around TGC. If you want more of this sort of stuff, 52 weeks of your calendar year, if you are sort of a Gregorian calendar sort of guy or girl, you can get around TGC Raw every single Friday, 52 weeks a year, patreon.com/greatcricketer. A couple of questions this week from AskTGC via Patreon later in the show, which I'm keen to get your thoughts on as we figure all that stuff out. Anyway, we must start simply with grade cricket because it is getting into the hottest part of the year. That is, of course, finals time. This is when you get the fruits of the labour of a long, hot Australian summer. This is everything you've ever worked for. Knockout time. Your team could win the flag, the trophy, the award, the medal, whatever you play for. Chocolates, indeed. And that's when tempers really start to boil, Beza.
Yeah, and look, a lot of people have seen this by now. I mean, as we know, if you do follow club cricket, you see a couple of clips from time to time, and some of them take hold more than others. So this one has really taken hold this week. So most people may have seen it.
We've been sent this 50 times, I reckon.
Been sent it 50 times, but the key thing about this one is that I got sent this from the very top. And I'm not talking about Cummins or like Greenberg or Baird or anything like that.
Sure.
But this has come across the desk of people right at the very top who themselves would like to send it on anonymously to TGC. Mackie versus Cluden in southeast Melbourne.
Oh, yeah.
It's a first 11 elimination final.
Right.
Mackie makes 240. Now, the way it's sent to me is this is a local synthetic comp.
Mm-hmm.
But Mackie makes 240. Cluden are 2 for 238. So 3 to win, right? And then it starts pissing down. The umpires take them off for rain. You can see that before it all goes down, Mackie bowlers are trying to slow the game right down. You can hear that on the video, and we'll play the video in a second. The batting team's yelling out, fucking bowl it.
Yep.
Now, it's Mackie's home ground, and the umpires take them off. Cluden only need 3 runs, so the way Cluden sort this out is they've actually brought their own tarpaulins to cover the deck if it rains.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've got a little bit of footage here, Chuck.
So the Twos have won their semi-final, and they've come down to watch the side. They're now charging onto the field, the Cluden boys. That's the Twos running
with
into the
their
field
tarps.
with their tarpaulin.
Yeah.
Now it starts getting real interesting with the commentary. Now have a listen to this.
Bang. So, a lot of people can't see what's going on here, but the opposition have actually tried to rip the tarpaulins off the Twos players who've run on to cover an AstroTurf pitch. Someone goes down there from the opposition as well. And you have to say, if you watch the entire clip, it is some of the worst covers execution you have ever seen in your life. The covers technique is horrendous, which is great. This is what you want.
Yeah.
Are they using wheelie bins to get the covers down? I think there are a couple of pegs that are getting used. They find it very, very difficult to just unfold the covers, it appears. But I suppose if you've played Twos and you've won your semi and you're probably a couple deep and it's time to storm the ground and the opposition are trying to rip them off you, you're probably a little bit rattled.
Yeah, it's not quite January 6th, it stormed the Capitol, but
anyway,
it's similar.
No, it wasn't quite January 6th, storm the Capitol, but anyway, I did find out 90 minutes later, they came back on, rain had stopped, bone dry deck, and got it done in 2 balls. So Cluden, all's well there.
And the celebration from the batting side was absolutely unbelievable.
It must have been.
There are many ways to consume that, but it's all over. Thank God for Frogbox. There's so many great elements to this because I've seen that it was so that they need 3 to win at the end with 8 wickets in hand, but the umpires didn't play in the rain for like half an hour apparently, and then by the end it was like pissing down properly.
Yeah.
So the umpires have played their part. They need 2 to draw now, or 2 to tie. I suppose 3 to win. And the umpires like, I think now's the time to actually come off. Now I watched this all the way to the end. Now fair play to the Mackie boys because there was a bit of a ruckus there, of course, with ripping the covers away. But they did shake hands afterwards.
Oh, huge. That's very big of him.
Yep. So, well, I'd imagine like if it's getting pretty hostile to the point of tearing covers away and blokes storming onto your field, don't fucking touch our pitch, etc. There would have been a little bit of tension there.
I mean, when we first discussed this, we were like, it wasn't quite cut and dry about the ethics of it. Like I've never really seen a situation before where the away team is trying. I've seen an away team trying to apply the covers for their own benefit, but to supply your own covers.
BYO covers
BYO
for,
covers.
for an Astro deck, which
just
must matter.
To see it, but like, yeah, I guess to try and, give yourself the advantage. I've never seen that before. Boys, we've got to bring our own tarps. They're not going to do anything to help us here.
Yeah.
But like, what do you think it should be? Like, is that a dangerous precedent? Like that you basically have to start supplying your own covers. I mean, grassroots teams don't even know if they're going to get any of this Indian bunts as it is. You know what I mean? But maybe if that bunts comes through, we won't have this issue.
Yeah.
Every ground will have 3 or 4 ground staff. They can get this done.
Yeah, I think that's how the trickle-down economics work, yeah.
I mean, I just want to stick with club cricket. I was fortunate enough to go to my old club, so one of them's Old Boys Day over on Saturday.
Yeah.
It was really good. And a reminder, like the highest represented demographic was those who played in like several decades earlier, which is great. Great to see those old boys there sharing some stories. And those stories are goated. I got to say, like grade cricket has become cleaner.
Yeah.
And it has become better behaved. There will be exceptions, but just a reminder that it is there's no competition really to whatever the fuck was going on back in the 70s and the 80s. Just one story. And if you do tune into our riveting watch along of South Africa Zimbabwe, which was the African derby that we chose to cover, not for time zone reasons at all. Yeah, it was one of the guys telling a story about how excited he was for the season ahead, and that he could hear the club president of the time speaking in a room about how this was the year where boys were going to become men, and that this was the year the club was going to step up to win the club championship, and that they had the right players on board with the right coaches. And he's like, I'm feeling really inspired by this, before he turned the corner to enter the room and see that the club president was flanked by 2 naked women either side, and he realised that he was being spoken to at pure platinum gentlemen's club.
And they did win the club comp that year by the length of the straight.
A very strong team. I just thought, wow.
Yeah.
Firstly, a pre-season launch to begin with.
Yeah.
But then, pre-season launch at pure platinum.
Yeah.
With the club president surrounded by naked women.
I know these days in the IPL, what they do is, like, for a new player that comes into the side, they do a cake ceremony. So I guess things have all evolved over time.
Yeah, it's a lot more wholesome these days, I suppose.
Yeah. Cricket's gone woke. Cricket's gone woke. Anyway, speaking of the African Derby, just touching on a couple of points here during the World Cup. Of course, you can follow the dailies on the audio and indeed YouTube feeds for TGC if you want sort of day-by-day reaction or match-by-match reaction into the semi-finals now. But one thing I've really enjoyed is Brian Bennett's contribution to the tournament, opening batsman for Zimbabwe, 292 runs in the tournament. I think he was only dismissed a couple of times. I think at one point he was averaging about 1 million. He's taken some wonderful catches. He has put himself, I think he's only 22 or something like that years old. And so he has been a real standout for Zimbabwe, who, of course, have had a very successful tournament, getting through what it turned out to be the hardest group in the tournament between Australia, Sri Lanka and Zimbabwe. But they got through and they did themselves proud. And then afterwards, he made 97 against India. Not out. And they only faced 59 balls, I think, in the end. They batted their entire innings. Now, he was asked by a journalist in the press conference afterwards, just like speaking about the batting innings of Zimbabwe. He was asked, now, why didn't you guys let Bennett get his 100? And he said, I am Bennett. So wouldn't say the cut through has quite got there just yet. I've also really enjoyed, as you mentioned the other day, Pezza, the New Zealand national anthem being played at 2x speed. Twos. Yeah, being played at twos. And then... quite an interesting game, really, between Sri Lanka and Pakistan, where in that game, Sri Lanka already knocked out of the tournament. They could not make it through to the semi-finals, but Pakistan could have got through had they won significantly against Sri Lanka in this game. Now, had Sri Lanka made it through to the semi-finals, they would have hosted a semi-final, World Cup semi-final. Obviously, good bunts there for doing so. If Pakistan had made it through to the semi-finals, Sri Lanka would have had to also host that game because obviously they're not playing in India. So Pakistan have the most Pakistan game ever. They race to a huge opening partnership. I think, was it the biggest ever partnership?
Biggest partnership ever in World Cups.
165 or something like that. And then they lost 8 for, let's say, 40. And then Sri Lanka ended up losing that game by
5 runs.
5 runs, that's right. And so Sri Lanka gets nothing They get no World Cup semi-final. Pakistan knocked out, Sri Lanka knocked out. And at the end of that game, Jai Surya, the coach of Sri Lanka, ended up quitting as well. He said, "My contract runs till June. I haven't given SLC any news officially yet. They don't know what I'm going to say this even. I will not. So I will need to go and discuss with them. If they can get somebody to coach the team, then definitely they should do that." So, so he's basically quit. And he's
I like that he's just telling the journos first. So I haven't spoken to them, but if they can get someone, all good.
They should do that. Yeah. Now people would have seen, speaking of Pakistan in that Sri Lanka game, that the Pakistani players have been fined roughly $18,000 each for poor performance. So I'm seeing a lot of repercussions for sides not performing particularly well in this World Cup. Also, Jonathan Trott for Afghanistan, who coached Afghanistan for 3.5 years. His time has run up. They're not going to renew his contract. So I'm seeing a lot of repercussions for teams not performing very well in T20s. And I wouldn't say I'm seeing a lot over this side of
well, I mean,
the equator.
I do. I see a huge punishment. They all have to play Shield now.
Okay.
Now, just on the Pakistan situation, yeah, they've all been fined $25,000 Australian. So, as with English football transfers, if you can convert it to Australian, it's a higher number.
Higher number.
Right? So, 25K Australian.
Yep.
Daniel Rasool reported it for Crick Info. He says the fines are not for disciplinary reasons, just specifically what the board deems poor performance at the event. They were imposed immediately following Pakistan's match against India. So Pakistan's still in the tournament after this.
Yeah.
Still a chance to go through, and the board goes, you know what, we're going to dock you 25K unless you make the semis, right?
Yeah. So this was also in the wake of them not playing that game until about 2 days before.
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, you
which
played
is
it and you
courtesy
lost?
of the board.
Well,
The government.
Yeah.
I don't know which is which. But, and then, so Crick Info's learned there's no disciplinary issues within the team. Fines have been levied specifically for the quality of their performances. And while the fines will be imposed on all players, Pakistan did have players who enjoyed individual success. For example, Farhan, who broke the record for the most runs at T20 World Cup. But he's now in debt.
Yeah, now he's debt.
I imagine.
Yeah, cough up.
Now, people, look, in all seriousness, people are pointing out, this is bad. The Pakistan players don't have a players' union, and it might leave players in debt, pay-to-play type situation. And you mentioned over this side. On the other hand, let's not forget that the fine system has long been the foundation and bedrock of Australian cricketing success. Australia obviously being the greatest nation to have ever played cricket.
Especially T20s.
Past, present, future. Yeah. Maybe not future. Now, admittedly, those fines that Australia would levy on players from cradle to grave, by the way, would be for not really on-field performance transgressions, but more important transgressions, like stepping onto the field before you captain.
Yep.
Right?
Totally.
Or if your girlfriend said hello to you.
Totally.
When you're sitting with the boys in the sheds.
Big no-no.
Or you did something. You might have called out buzzers, but they weren't buzzers. You made a little mistake. Or the captain says, "I'm the official timekeeper," and you're 2 minutes late. Then you get into an argument, and then you have to buy a case of two is new.
Yeah.
They're the sorts of fines that Australia used to levy.
Totally.
Whereas these are more like you lost the game and now you're 25K down.
Yeah.
And then in Australia, I suppose one of the differences is, well, I guess we'll find out, but like that money is then used to do things like procure a stripper at the end of season function,
typically speaking,
or trip. And that stripper will then largely be used to humiliate a 17-year-old who didn't realise what happened on these trips.
Typically speaking.
Yeah. Now, what if Pakistan, the board is taking this money for just a massive end-of-season trip?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Are we back on here?
Yeah.
Farhan, etc. going, mate, any day. I mean, are we?
Yeah.
What are we doing? Is it yellow jersey stuff? Are we? Are we making odds on who's going to, wear the yellow jersey on the end of season trip? If you catch my drift,
yes.
Maybe it's just an enormous circuit coming up.
That's before you get to the polka dot jersey, which is celebrating sexually transmitted diseases.
Precisely. Now, I don't think that end of season trip is happening in the Middle East right now.
Not right now.
Yeah. That's an airspace issue.
Right.
But So I'm just saying, let's not judge the board,
No.
the Pakistani board,
Not just
too
yet.
soon.
Yeah.
Because if they're banking 25K from every player, it's a fucking amazing end of
That's going
season
to be
trip.
one of the best. I mean, you have to think with Farhan as well, who has literally broken Virat Kohli's record, 318 runs, I think it was, in a World Cup, and he's decimated that with 382
without
runs.
even getting into the semis.
Without even playing more games. So, I mean, he surely needs to be celebrated
So
by sitting in
I
the
think,
chair.
just started playing. He's down. They're all down.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'd say masterstroke. I also know as a player, when I was fined at the age of 17 or whatever, without really much money and just a little bit for phone credit and maybe, to play those robotic horse machines at Balmain Leagues Club.
Yeah.
That was just or a travel 10.
Or money for a night rider home.
Money for a night ride home, exactly.
That's a bust, not an Indian Premier League team.
Right. Like I know that made me play better.
Yeah.
I know that when a 25-year-old sweaty pig of a bloke who had a part-time job at office work said, you owe me $3,
Yeah.
or you got to buy a case for $42 and two is new.
A lot of money back then.
A lot of money back then. I was like, you know what? I'm going to put my head down and play. So, yeah.
Yep. Anyway, moving on to the tournament itself. I saw this morning, actually, the West Indies and Zimbabwe are still stuck in India due to that conflict. So, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people that'll be watching or listening to this will have friends, family, whatever, stuck in the same situation. So I hope everyone's okay for you, and certainly for the West Indies and Zimbabwean cricketers as well. Hope everyone gets out okay. But in the meantime, India did qualify for the semi-finals. They'll play against England at the 1KD there in Mumbai, but they got through in what was essentially a quarter-final, I suppose. They played against the West Indies. Sandhu Samson, the incredible innings of 97, not out. Second highest score in a World Cup for India. Only 100 ever scored by an Indian in a T20 World Cup, and that was Suresh Raina. So there's a bit of trivia, there for you that you can tell nobody in your life. Anyway, it was an incredible innings. The next top score was Tilak Varma with 27, and they chased down 195, which was the most they've ever chased down in a T20 World Cup. But for the West Indies, even making that score eventually was incredible, given that Shai Hope was out for 32 off 33 balls faced, opening the batting, which is going to be pretty critical in this World Cup. So that was a story of that crucial game. But we move on to the semi-finals, and that is South Africa and New Zealand, which is tonight at Eden Gardens there in Kolkata. Shukri Conrad, the coach of South Africa, has embraced the favourites tag.
I thought you were going to say this.
The favourites tag, Pezza, for South Africa. They did beat India handsomely at the Modi Stadium at Ahmedabad during the Super 8s phase, but South Africa favourites.
Shukri Conrad is an enigma, Like, this is the guy that helped South Africa transcend the chokers tag in Test cricket by sitting down and having a cigarette with players. Wasn't it Rabada and someone else before when they were 8 down against Pakistan or something?
Yeah,
I think he sat down and had a cigarette and just said, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Right? And then, a couple of internet dickheads said that actually South Africa had spina bifida, or they were playing in the spina bifida.
Yeah.
Let's be right and accurate.
Yeah.
Spina bifida 2s, maybe 3s.
Yeah.
Before they dusted Australia in the World Test Championship, and then Shukri Conrad laughed at us on the field, and rightly so.
Yeah.
And his wife didn't, but which is also fair enough, by the way.
Yeah, it was
but
funny.
he was a happy man. Now, he said there's always pressure, and it's really about embracing that pressure. And we don't do things any differently. We're going to prepare exactly the same way for New Zealand, whether we start as favourites, probably because we're the only unbeaten side in the competition. He added, I've always felt that as a South African team, you want to be able to play as a favourite, and because it's easy being an underdog, the expectation isn't great. I just can't believe how bad this tournament has gone for Australia. Because, we haven't even had the opportunity to dilute the shame of our group stage exit through others' failures. All the big boys are in the semi-finals. New Zealand has made their way there again, fucking somehow. We can't use the Ashes as an excuse because England are there. McCullum's going to get 8 more years now. Hey, that's a good thing. And now even South Africa have shed the chokers tag.
Yeah, they're favourites.
They're favourites, and they're like, yeah, we want to be favourites.
Yeah.
Like, mate, where am I? You know, there is just all of these signals that the game is moving on, and it ain't good for Australia.
Well, saying that, I mean,
Sydney Carlton opening round, obviously.
Yeah,
Thursday.
but I mean, to be fair, the sides that did make it out of Australia's group did put up a pretty good showing in the Super 8s.
They're calling us the Crayon Eaters group. And that is, you know, I find it hard to come back from.
So Sri Lanka and Zimbabwe didn't come close to winning a game in the Super 8s, which, I mean, somehow, even though Australia have been home for a month, every game that passes that doesn't involve any of the teams that Australia come across, it's somehow getting worse. Now, as we mentioned before, I'm seeing coaches for other nations saying, like, look, if they want someone else to coach, I reckon they should do that. I'm seeing end of contracts being accepted, a 10 years ending. I'm seeing players getting fined. And here it's like, what should we do with the Big Bash? What do you mean, what should we do? It's going to happen to us.
There's nothing we can do.
There's nothing we can do about it.
It's one of the great misnomers about the privatisation conversation is the agency of Australia within it.
Yeah. How should Cricket Australia go about this?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
There's chat about how to slice and dice it all. That is all to do with how each stakeholder gets the most from the impending bunts, whether there even is going to be a lot of it or not, given that we're the last domino to fall. But, so T20 all looking pretty good for Australia.
Yeah, I think so.
Shout out on this to Alex Malcolm, as per, wrote a great article yesterday, again, summarising the state of T20 cricket in Australia. He mentioned within it, the players and the coaches are badly hurting from this loss and from the failure at the World Cup, which is now extended to like 3 successive failures to make the semi-finals. And that they reject the notion that Australia doesn't care about T20 cricket, which is a misunderstanding. No one said the players didn't care.
No.
It's the country.
Yeah. It's the people that watch it.
Yeah. So I don't think anyone's saying the players don't care. They're professionals and they're good and they're all in the IPL and whatever.
We've maintained this for weeks. Like there is a delineation between the clear underperformance of the squad of players that went over there and how people that watch the sport feel about their underperformance.
But I just want to comment. So have a look at Alex Malcolm's article there as well. You mentioned privatisation. I mean, the way that story is moving on, it seems, with those who are doing great journalism on it, like Pete Lawler from Cricket et al. Shout out Cricket et al. As per, sign up to get that journalism. There needs to be more on it, really. But the big story is sort of globally is that 14 Pakistani players have made the long list for the 100 auction. It's a watch. Little sidebar on that is Pakistani players shouldn't be excluded, from competitions. They have been for quite a while anyway. No one's really talking about the fact that Indians are also excluded from these competitions as well for different reasons. It's a watch. Pete Lawler's reporting really excellently on the what's happening with the MOU with the players. That's also a watch. And he mentioned on Cricket et al. Yesterday, have a listen to it, everybody, but the chat seems to be that in terms of the calendar, they are talking about maybe Sydney becoming the first test in December, having it all wrapped up by the end of December and clearing January for this competition. So again, that's speculation. I trust Pete's reporting, etc. But if people want to know how this schedule is going to be sliced and diced to get the best Aussie players playing in both competitions, it's looking like they want to keep January clear, and December is when the test matches are going to take place. He's also mentioning that. Yeah, I mean, look, I think listening to his podcast, I should probably reread the line I've just written there. But it's privatisation stuff to watch, and England are doing well in the T20 World Cup as well.
Can I had a thought. Doesn't matter when it was, but I was thinking about how what the Big Bash is going to look like when it comes, when the privatisation comes, and
will it even be called the Big Bash?
I hope not. I hope it changes. But I was thinking about how to incorporate New Zealand cricket into this as well, because they've obviously got the Super Smash, and that is very much an afterthought in world cricket stakes. But
Pete's got some, just to interject there, he's got some excellent reporting on a lot of tumult and upheaval in New Zealand cricket around the Super Smash, potential Australian involvement in it, or vice versa, and the departure of their CEO as well. So it is, and how that might actually interplay or interface with, Cricket Australia's negotiations around this as well. So New Zealand are indelibly involved in all of this.
Yeah. So what I was thinking about, like, how you make the tournament really bang in Australia, and because the SA20, which is currently a more prestigious, better players playing in that league, because the South African players play in it, for instance. But there is an opportunity, I think. The ILT20, of course, operates at the same time, but there is an opportunity, I think, for Australia, New Zealand, and perhaps South Africa, in my head, unite in like a Super Rugby sense.
It's a Super 12.
It's a Super 12. Yeah. That's right, from 2001.
Yeah.
I mean, I was
Waratahs
thinking,
versus Northern Bulls.
I mean, maybe less so these. Like, I don't want those South African sides. The SA20 will still exist on its own, but I'm thinking about the window to get as many good players playing in the Australian, the domestic T20 league, whatever it's going to be called, if it is the Big Bash, whatever, to be playing. I mean, you think about how many good players New Zealand have in the short form. I think about Glenn Phillips, Devon Conway, Ratchin, Lockie Ferguson, who has played a little bit in the Big Bash, I suppose. Mitchell Santner, Cole McConkey, of course, in recent times. So I'm thinking about there is so much quality in New Zealand that I would be. There's also a time zone element there where Australian cricket and New Zealand cricket start dominating time zones. That's before you get to the Western Australia connection over, to Wellington. There's quite a large time zone there to be playing lots of cricket in September for some reason, in January. Now, like, if that league becomes so strong, then you might actually be able to start attracting South African cricketers to be playing this as well. That's before you get to the ILT20 guys like Nicholas Purin, Rashid Khan, who of course has played in the Big Bash. But yeah, like, there is an opportunity to make the Australian domestic T20 league significantly stronger than what it is now. In my estimation, it would be somewhere, it's not as strong as the IPL, the PSL, or the SA20. I'd imagine it's somewhere in the realm of between 4th and 6th strongest league at the moment, which for Australian cricket is completely unacceptable, in my opinion. So, I think the inclusion of, like, at least one New Zealand side, maybe two New Zealand sides, would make the entire league a lot more watchable, much higher quality. And that's something I think people could get behind. Of course, that's before you get to the Australian players actually playing in the thing. So, look, ultimately, that this is not the direction that I, as a fan of Australian cricket, would want, because T20 cricket is not the thing that I love the most. However, as I've said before, I don't think that what I like really matters in this context, because it is going to go in this direction. So, but I just had this thought that was like, New Zealand, two New Zealand teams, one New Zealand team in this Big Bash-esque league. Maybe it becomes so strong, South African players start playing in it. You got Nicholas Purin, a couple of the West Indies guys. All of a sudden, that's a pretty fucking good league. And the Pakistani players.
I thought you were about to, when you talked about Super 12 rugby, I thought you were about to suggest that, given it appears January is the window that they want to play this new Australian league, this league based in Australia, owned by, conglomerates, might be joined up with South Africa, whose first game was 10th of January last season.
Okay.
So it ran through January. So I don't understand off the top of my head how this would work if they were separate leagues. Like, if you've got, the Sunrisers franchise, the MI guys, the Delhi guys, the GMR guys at Delhi, etc.
Yeah.
Owning franchises in two countries concurrently playing.
Yeah.
I was a bit confused with Tom Curran.
As a cricketer.
Thank you. How do they not cannibalise each other if they're playing in January, or do we create Super 12 rugby?
Yeah.
And now now Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa are all playing in one competition.
Surely eventually, like, it'll move to one country will have it in, if they don't join up, which is no suggestion they will, by the way, but one will move to December, the other one will move to January.
Right.
So if I'm an owner of a Sunrisers franchise, right, they've got Sunrisers Cape Town, I think it is.
Yeah.
So let's say they move.
Sunrisers Eastern Cape.
Eastern Cape.
Of course.
And like, they have January, and then maybe the Australian one moves to December, and then the Test cricket calendar in Australia moves to January. for the time being before it dies.
The tour moves from one place to the next.
Yeah.
You know.
Where can I watch Quentin de Kock next?
Exactly.
He's a good player.
Yeah, well, it's a watch. It's a watch. How all this goes down. I mean, England's looking pretty good in this T20 World
I'd say
Cup
England have been fantastic since they moved over to Sri Lanka. Like their squad looks really built for winning games of cricket in Sri Lanka, I've got to say. In India, they were a bit less impressive. They lost to the West Indies pretty handsomely. They, just about got through against Nepal and had a tightish game against Italy. So they weren't as impressive in India, but in Sri Lanka, I mean, Will Jux has been nothing short of incredible. 4 Player of the Match awards for him. Harry Brook has played one of the greatest innings for any nation, actually, against Sri Lanka? I can't remember who he scored 100 against. My apologies, English fans. But he scored a blistering 100. The bowling's been good. Now, they play against India at the 1KD, and it being a watch for opening batters, Abhishek Sharma, who hasn't been able to get off the square except against Zimbabwe, he's got a 50 against Zimbabwe, and Joss Buttler, whose eyes may very well have gone, but he is the greatest white ball player England's ever produced, and you'd have to say, look, he's had a couple of run of low scores, but you're going to back him. So
Pakistan, that 100 was against, sorry, just for, yeah.
Pakistan it was. So, yeah, that's a watch. But England-India I think that's going to be a good game. I mean, India don't seem quite as infallible as previously. I mean, they did lose pretty comfortably to South Africa. Yeah, they're clearly either the first or the second best team in the tournament. But I don't think it's as I wouldn't have them like as nailed on favourites. I think them in South Africa, it's going to be real tight between those two. But they've got to get past England first.
At the start of the tournament, it was really hard to see anybody beating them when Bumrah and Chakravarti were bowling so well. Now, Bumrah is arguably player of the match in every player that he plays. He plays so well that you don't even talk about him anymore. Yeah. He's just unbelievable. Chakravarti's gone off the boil a little bit in the last couple of games. No idea why. Can't pick him anyway. But when he's on song, it's just hard to see how you build a massive score against India when you just have 8 overs of that.
Right.
But since he's gone off the boil a little bit, they look a little bit more fallible, as you said. I still think they have more than enough. England will need to be perfect to win. They can be. Rian Ahmed was great in Sri Lanka. I think Brooks kind of suggested that he was, they're picking horses for courses, so maybe he's just a Sri Lankan selection, but just a bright player. He bowled well, and he got them home with Will Jacks as well. And yeah, there's that question about Joss Buttler, but no dog in the fight. Stick with him; he's good, and he'll probably come off. So yeah, it should be a massive game. England can win that game.
Yeah,
I'd just be naming players who have been good before. But what you realise about international cricket is you name every player, and they're in the team because they've done good things.
Yep.
So you can always be like, see, he's good and he can be good.
Yeah.
It's just about who's good on the day and in matchups, etc.
Well, I guess we'll see.
Oh, that's a true point.
And I guess we'll just wait for the IPL draw to come out, even though it starts in 3 weeks. It starts on March 28th.
State elections.
I know there are reasons. Yeah. But March 28th, it starts, and May 31 it finishes. If you're looking to buy tickets for games, you're just going to have to wait. So that's the T20 World Cup. We'll be covering, of course, the semi-finals and the final, and then moving into the IPL. So stay tuned. So just literally stay. Don't do anything for weeks, and just
don't touch your set. Don't touch your dial on your AM radio, on your Crystal set-top box.
Nice.
Do not touch it.
Nice.
We'll be doing stuff.
We will be doing stuff. Let's talk about Australia and India and the multi-format series therein, which is cricket that is happening in Australia right now. Now, Australia cannot lose a series after absolutely dusting India 3-0 in the ODIs. Of course, India won the T20s 2-1. So that will require a royal commission. Now, Alyssa Healy playing her last ODIs. The last game at Hobart there, the third ODI, she finished on 158. And the 158 came off 98 balls. She was cramping in both calves on about 85, got to the 100, said she was running like the Tin Man, and then just teed off, and it was extraordinary. But, there's been a lot of love for this innings, the career as a whole, but when you see the 158 that she scored, but you see the mode of dismissal, trying to reverse a full toss halfway up the stumps, getting bowled, you saw the over that she bowled, absolute garbage. I think it is obvious that it is time to move on from Alyssa Healy. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't be bowling like that. You can't be playing shots like that to be dismissed like that. I think the selectors really need to just move on.
I completely agree, and I think Midge would agree as well.
Yeah.
Look, I just want to start from the top. Australia's 8-4 in the multi-format series, and that means that their lead is unassailable. They're unable to be assailed vis-a-vis the lead, and that's how the Australian women's team should always be, frankly, unassailable.
The 4 hurts for India there, I've got to say, in the 8-4 scoreline. The 4 does hurt.
It's a watch. Now... And Alyssa Healy, you're right. Sure, she makes in her final game in the green and gold colours. Her third 50 comes in 16 balls.
Okay.
And sure, that's a suggestion and maybe a memory to leave Australians with of like, sure, she's the face of Australian dominance and unassailability.
Okay.
That's fine. I mean, that dismissal was dog shit. And I got to say... To follow it up with that bowling performance, I mean, if you want the definition of what real life unironic crow's feet looks like, look at Mitch Starc in Seven's commentary. Then that is actual crow's feet.
Yeah, not that easy, is it?
Now, the problem with that piece of selective editing from Seven. Was that he was actually responding to a question about the men's T20 bowling attack.
Yeah.
And also, he was recalling his conversation with Bailey, who said, "Can you come back?"
Yeah. Please?
Not that easy, is it? He delivered that line. I mean, this is a women's cricket section, but like you could study the way he delivered that line and the face that he pulled because there's a lot of history and legacy and honour in that.
Yeah.
Now, back to the movement. I mean, the thing I like about that game as well, Georgia Vole runs, Mooney runs. Okay, the right people scoring runs.
Right.
158 in your last dig. Cheers.
Yeah.
I liked that she exited the ground filthy with herself. She didn't take one moment to... acknowledge the crowd. Really, it was like I'm filthy. And it's like, to me, that's a better departure. I'm American now, but it's better. It's a better departure. It's just, I mean, Midge is, we're gonna miss her soon.
She said, "What a ridiculous sport that we play. That it can kick you down so many times and then give you opportunities like it has today." Now, we started this show with blokes trying to tear covers from the away side, trying to cover up the deck. Now, we're all just hanging on for whatever the circumstances are that are created, that we get to have one good Saturday each summer, one good one where you're like, you know what, I will play again next year. Those guys tearing the covers off, the opposition, they want one more weekend because they want to win the premiership. They want one more weekend away from the wife and kids. That's what cricket can do for you. Now, in the meantime, most people's experiences are that it will just continue to hurt you for as long as you can remember. But cricket is what you do when the summer comes around, and you're scared of change, deep-seated, etc. And so you'll just keep turning up. Now, none of us are ever going to score 158 against India in your last ever one-day international. But you might. And that's why you'll turn up next week and do it. That's why people in the UK are at winter nets right now. They might score 158 in an ODI.
I have to take the other view. I'm sorry. I mean, this is why Midge has to depart the game. She's out of touch. I agree with the first part.
Yeah.
She had me in the first half. That it's a ridiculous sport. But to conclude that thought by going, and it continues to give you opportunities, sorry. Most of us do not get other opportunities. We just continue to suffer the ridiculousness of the game. Yeah. And no, we don't score 158 against India. Maybe Blacktown, twos, but...
be unders for you, wouldn't it?
It depends which one, but unnecessary. Midge. And then it's commentary, and it's a whole thing. I mean, between for me, I know Lanning predates Midge, and so does Pez, but for me, Lanning, Perry, Healy is the face of stick-based dominance for the women's team, and now we've lost another, and
well, I do like that there's a passing on of the guard. We're seeing Georgia Volt, 22 years old, score her second ODI 100 in the second game, her second against India. That's always going to be good from a bunts perspective. Doing it against India, that's WPL contracts for as long as you like. Beth Mooney hit her sixth ODI 100 in that third game, 106 off 84. Australia hit 409 in an ODI. That's the first time that ever passed 400 in ODI in Australia. Alana King took forfer from full tosses, basically. Which was commented on by the captain. She's not currently in the T20 side, as we might recall. But Georgia Vol opening the batting, also made 50, I think, in this game where they scored 460, I think it might have been.
I think with Midge retiring, just from an aesthetics and from an optics perspective, having a young player also make runs means that we can go okay, there's something else now that we can have.
Yes, and she loves rugby league, Georgia Vol.
That's huge.
So that's going to be big. That's going to be big. Anyway, so Soph Molyneux's injured, which, who could have seen that? And she's in doubt to be in the West Indies to captain in that series, which is later in March. It's later this month.
Yeah, they've been the test.
Yes. So just a reminder, there's a T20 World Cup for the women in June in England. The captain's injured a lot. They've obviously just lost a home series against India. Now, Kim Garth is out of the Perth test with a quad. Elise Perry is in doubt. It's a pink ball.
She's in the squad.
She's in the squad.
Yeah.
It's a pink ball test, this Perth test match. So I don't... There's a few things which aren't going perfectly seamlessly. I suppose the changing of the guard between Georgia Vol and Alyssa Healy, that will just continue on forever. That will just upward trajectory, year on year growth. I hope.
Midge needs to finish with a ton here, though. Right?
Yeah. She hasn't got a test 100. Am I right in saying she's got a 99?
Yeah, so that's a watch. Maitland Brown comes into the squad.
Yep.
Might get a debut.
Yep.
I'm just looking for the usual suspects to do what they do in this game.
Well,
and for that lead to not be assailed or even evened up.
No, and we need an innings defeat here.
I've heard discussion about the, tedious discussion about the merits of women's Test cricket that leaves out the, point of dignity. I mean, just women, they want to play Test cricket, as far as I understand. So the women's players want to play, and I think that they should get the opportunity to play. And sometimes you can have lost leaders in business. I know that it may not be onwardly sustainable and deeply profitable at all costs and times, but there are things that you can do that add to legacy, brand, narrative, story, particularly in Australia where we adore Test cricket. And if women's players who have been basically the bedrock of Australian dominance and success across all sport for so long, if they're there saying we'd like a crack at Test cricket, I'm watching the fuck out of it, to be honest. So
this will be the 150th women's Test match as well, I believe. Now, Lucy Hamilton, who played in the third ODI, she debuted in that ODI. She's only 19. They reckon that she'll play in this Test match as well. Now, that's good lineage as well because she was handed her cap by Alyssa Healy. Now, hopefully when Lucy Hamilton retires, we get to do that thing where, see all the players that she played with. Do you remember Alyssa Healy? And then be like, wow, that really stretches back lineage, successful terms to successful terms. That's what I like.
Oh, that's right. And that's when there's incels can be and then Lucy Hamilton's giving her cap to Mitch Stark and Alyssa Healy's kid. Who, I guess.
Yeah. Did we mention this last week that Elise Perry brought up 350 games for Australia? I think we must have done. It was in the third T20 she brought that up, 350 games. Ash Gardner said there is no doubt that she will go down as the greatest to have ever played this game, male or female, which I think we can all agree with. Now, you mentioned the West Indies, who
you say greatest.
Yeah. Scrapped that Test match. So the director of the West Indies cricket said that they are prioritising preparation for the World Cup. It would have been the first Test the West Indies have played for 22 years. So there's that. Here's what the director of West Indies Cricket said. We remain committed to the long-term growth of women's Test cricket, and discussions are already underway for a future red ball opportunity, including a highly anticipated series against England in 2027. So, so that committed to it, given they just scrapped it, but to prepare for the World Cup. But could be another one where we just, I guess we'll see. In 22 years, that'll be 2048. So we'll still be doing the show. And we'll cover that one. We'll cover that one live.
And it's live. Sorry.
Anything else you got? Anything else you want to talk about?
I mean, they announced dates for Darwin and Mackay. I refuse to give you those dates, but they're playing.
Good.
Darwin and Mackay on particular dates in August, and that's Australian men versus Bangladesh. And we're looking to get to Darwin, I've got to say. I know there's a couple of questions about this, but and then I think we mentioned last week, the dates for the South Africa Test series came out as well. It's pretty clear that less said about that, the better.
And sort of what happened last time and build up to it and stuff. And
and looking to go to that as well. Don't know if there's much business there, but it'll be funny. So yeah, we'll see. Reach out.
All right, we should move on to AskTGC, unless there's any other business. I suppose there's a round of Shield coming up this week. Hey, you see Chris Tremaine retired?
Now, Chris Tremaine has been a fantastic player in Australian cricket.
He has been.
And servant, both New South Wales and playing his best at Victoria. And should have got a gig in the Ashes squad, in my view, in 2019. Yeah. Honouring CT. I don't think anyone ever called him that.
Scam, they called him. That's a think of that one. All right, AskTGC is brought to you by Smith Optics Australia. And I don't understand like where you can listen to this show week on week and you know about Smith Optics, you know what they provide to you, but you're being offered the chance to pay only 3/4 of the price of a pair of elite level sunglasses, and you would have to be one of the dumbest cunts of all time if you don't take that up.
Well said.
You would absolutely have to be one of the thickest pieces of shit to not go to that website, smithopticsaustralia.com.au, and say, what, you know what, I will use the code FAST and only pay 75% of a full price pair of sunglasses. I also put into the robot on the internet, what kind of person wears Smith Optics sunglasses?
Right.
And it told me people who wear Smith sunglasses tend to fit certain styles, activities, and values more often than others, but there's no strict type. So I like a value-based selection of sunglasses. Now, what are your values for sunglasses? Looking fucking awesome.
Well, this is why these promotions are good, because most ads these days basically have the formula of like, here's something great and wholesome in life that kind of relates to like, you know, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It'd be security, safety, love, you know, food, shelter, something like that.
Sure.
And then it just has a very, very hard and innocuous kind of segue to like, also buy this product and it will help you have that thing.
Yep.
Whereas we're just being a lot more straightforward and saying you're a thick cunt unless you buy it. And I'm sure that Smith is happy with that. But I mean, when you do like through podcasts, etc., when you do receive a code for something, you're very rarely outside the like 5 to 10% range. Am I right? Like, you're getting 5 or 10% off stuff.
Yeah.
15 at best.
Yes.
25 is unheard of.
Fuck me dead.
You know what I'm saying? Like it is like 70, like 3/4 of the actual retail price.
Mate, every time I hear it, I actually vomit.
Kim Hughes style. When you heard about Cam Bancroft's non-selection, we said he nearly vomited.
Nearly. Yeah, I go all the way.
Yeah. That would be a good party trick.
Anyway.
Fantastic sponsors and backers of
They
TGC.
are. And by the way, like, I think, like, the sunglasses that are on offer, that really...
I wouldn't be surprised if after this they were like, I think that's the end of the campaign though, guys. If you don't buy this, you're a thick cunt. Sorry. I've now said it twice, backing up what you've said.
I think that it's more of a laptop purchase. You know what I mean? You know, some things are like phone purchases, other things are laptop purchases.
No, tell me more.
I just think that, like, you know, you get a broader range. It's like a better optic, like looking at a computer, you know, than like on your phone. I mean, you can do both, obviously, but I think like just you get the full scope of the website and the colors of the sunglasses, everything that Smith Optics is, because it's more just sunglasses. It's lifestyle, you know, it's values.
Yes. What are I in my world, if a laptop is for a more prestigious purchase, so I can see the full thing, and maybe it's like I need to open my laptop for this kind of consideration, you know, for the deliberation. Whereas a phone is like it's my thumb. There's something casual about it.
Sure.
You know.
Sure.
And that's what Smith Optics is. It's prestige. It's a big decision, but you're getting it for mobile prices. Am I right? I mean, you don't buy a house on a mobile phone, nor really a laptop, I suppose. Tuning into an auction. Well,
you buying a house?
Yeah.
Click on the old... Yeah.
None of us are doing that.
Anyway, smithopticsaustralia.com.au. Use the code FAST at checkout for 25% off your order. hello@greycricketer.com if you want to submit your AskTGC. Next week will be the last show of the Australian summer. So get in your questions and we'll answer them if they're any good. Now, a couple have come in from Patreon, Pezza, because I have enjoyed... I'm going to leave them anonymous out of respect for the pay pigs for TGC Raw. But I like the theme of them, I suppose. Now, the first one comes in. Said, boys, I'm facing an age-old dilemma. I'm a groomsman for one of my best mates' wedding Saturday instead of captaining my local wheelie bin shit threes team in the first final. To be quite frank, I don't give a fuck about these two getting married compared to the allure of premiership glory. I've played cricket since I was 10 years old, only playing in 7 finals, 6 of them being losses. But I fucking love playing cricket. Nazi thing I've ever said. So we've kept coming back year after year trying to win something, and now I'll miss the first day of the first final. I'm filthy. My questions are, why has society dictated I must forego without a doubt the most important thing in my life because my mate is getting married? So that's sort of what we're talking about here, you know, with between the covers and Alyssa Healy, you know, finals time, you know, wedding season as well in some capacity. And this guy, he's played cricket since he was 10, only made 7 finals ever in his life. He's got a chance. He's captaining the side, and now his best mate's getting married, one of his best mates anyway. So that's a tricky situation to be in.
I mean, I'm missing the problem here. I mean, why doesn't he simply decline the wedding? Just play. Like, if it's so important to you, your friend will understand, no doubt about it. Yeah. And his wife, I imagine.
Especially if you lose.
How'd you go, Globe?
Yeah. I wish I was at the wedding, drinking free piss in a suit.
It is an age-old dilemma. But, like, I mean, that's why they have invitations for weddings. Just decline, state your reasons, write an essay, if you will, about about how the choice to play cricket may seem vain, superficial, and problematic at worst. But but actually, it's important to your pursuit of your dreams that you've had for a long time, to your sense of community, to honouring your childhood, and your soul. And these are all things that, with respect, you have no care for when it comes to his relationship. Yeah. I mean, maybe the truth is that it is a higher priority to win a flag with guys that use auto bins for stumps.
It's a really tricky one in terms of identity, I think, this one, because when you're a kid and you may well still be the cricketer of your group, probably still are, he's a good cricketer, even though he's playing threes. He will identify in his friendship circle as the cricketer. He will be able to hold court over conversations of selection, World Cups, who should be in, what should they do with the Big Bash, etc., because he's the cricketer. He's in the bubble. So ever since he was a young kid, ever since he was 10, he's always been the cricketer, but he's never identified as like a good friend. And I think you should just carry that on, because clearly you're not. You're going to play.
Well, let's get out of brass tacks with this. Doesn't make sense.
Talk turkey here.
Let's talk turkey. only a groomsman, too.
Yeah, only in the cordon. Not standing at
You
one.
know,
Are you?
I mean, how many groomsmen are there? And if the groom was honest about the power rankings therein, where are you?
He was lucky to get a Guernsey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean,
He's
yeah.
off the hook if he's not a groomsman.
I also really enjoy the faith that he's got in his teammates to get to the second round of the finals.
The second week. Oh yeah.
This
Well,
is-
he's
this-
missing. He says he's missing the first week.
He said, I'm missing the first day of the first final.
So that means that he's attempted to join the game halfway through. Is that right then? First day would
Yeah, you're
imply.
not allowed to do that, are you?
Yeah.
I don't know what different comps.
I mean, I
and
think if
rules,
you're coming
suppose.
back from state cricket,
they generally let
maybe
you do it. Yeah,
they can do it. But
Yeah.
a wedding,
Yeah.
play. Oh, no, I mean, you could. I think you can play day 2 if that's just declared, right?
I don't know. Don't know about that.
No. I don't.
Anyway, let us know how the.
No, just decline the invite.
Yeah.
Don't be a pussy.
Why don't you play the game and then go to the reception? If it's a, if
In
it's
your whites. And tell everyone, hey, you got a globe and you can still hear the ball hit the wheelie bin.
Either that or bat in a suit. Adrian,
I still remember actually, like, I must have played a game of cricket with my dad because we were both wearing whites, and we went to a convenience store or something, and the attendant said, or the cashier said, have you guys been playing cricket? My dad said, either that or we've been at a wedding. Great laugh. And I was like, what the fuck is this? It's always stuck with me.
Yeah.
It's always yeah. I'm like, why would we be wearing this at a wedding day? We're not the bride.
yeah.
Anyway,
Either that or been painting houses.
something I'll take up with him privately.
Hey, Dad, do you remember the time we were at the service station? Yeah. Adrian wrote in. He said, hey, lads, are you coming to Mackay for the test in August? Adrian. I think he wants to host us at his house. He hasn't said that, but I just presume he wants to know our sort of whereabouts for the test.
Oh, that's, if we could just have a business meeting now.
Yeah,
but Darwin's really the one that appeals to me.
Yeah.
I have to say.
Yeah.
But that just presumes that we can only do one.
Yeah, we could just cover the whole series, like
Yeah.
ball by ball on the ground.
Yeah.
Maybe bat 3.
Yep. Let's go to every day of Darwin and Mackay.
I guess we'll find out.
Well, I mean, put a case forward. Well, we'll have a look at it next week. But whoever wrote that in, put a case forward for Mackay over Darwin.
Adrian, right in. What's the case? I've never been to Mackay.
Darwin sells itself.
Darwin is nice,
and you're gonna have to work hard to usurp it.
Yeah.
In my eyes, but
Yeah.
put the case forward. I'll listen.
Are there Crocs in the surf in Mackay? That'd be one thing that Mackay would have over Darwin, in that it doesn't have that.
Right. Well, I'm not. I don't know exactly where the Crocs begin and end, but it's pretty north, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know where the Crocs begin and end. All right, last one for the week. This one's also via Patreon, Pezza. So, boys, had the scariest of Sundays. Just gone and found myself scrolling YouTube to feel something. Ended up with a compilation of great Australian sporting moments that was somewhat 30 minutes long. It ranged from Kathy Freeman winning gold in Sydney to James Faulkner hitting 3 consecutive 4s to win the ODI against Pakistan or some shit, then just wheeling away. It was heavy on the cricket highlights too. Here is the point. It has been a common theme on this pod that videos of service men and women returning home to their families, but more so their dogs, are the highest tier of tearjerker. I want to put to you that Australian sporting highlights are just as emotional and tear-inducing as service men and women returning home. Love to know your thoughts. I think there are very few sporting moments that would really get me emotionally, but I could say any time a service man or woman is returning home to greet their dog, doesn't matter what level they're playing.
Yeah, I mean
that gets me every time.
Yeah, serviceman sees kid goated.
Oh, yeah.
The only one from sport that matches it for me is that one of that we were talking about the other day.
Yeah,
the
weightlifter. Yeah,
then his wife that had died, and then they turned into cartoons.
Yes, that's
now,
right.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, I could see why you'd be like, "How is that?"
Yeah.
As tear jerky. But every time I see that, I'm like,
yeah,
get out of here.
He's carrying like a Polaroid in his jumpsuit thing.
Yeah, but he can't lift the weight, and then he remembers his wife. His wife helps him via a cartoon.
Yeah.
But the way that it's done, you just go, like she winks and he gets it up there.
Winks.
Actually, now that you say that, just again, hark back to Friday night's chat. The number one piece of content that brought a tear to my eye was when Australia's top 100 athletes were listed, and number one was Winks. Oh wait, was it Winks or Black Caviar?
Oh no, there was Winks.
Yeah, number one was Winks. That was the one that brought a tear to my eye the most. When Australia's best athlete was a horse.
So emotional, like cricket doesn't get me going for like tear jerking moments. There's obviously been some good ones.
Are you serious?
But like it has to be like Olympics or World Cups in sports that aren't cricket. So
I think I'm Olympics only.
Yeah, I was thinking about like a Wallabies, like in the '90s kind of thing, but not even then, to be honest. Yeah, it's. I'm thinking like it doesn't make me cry, but spine tingling when Thorpe mows down Gary Hall Jr. in the 4x1 Sydney 2000.
So good.
Kieran Perkins winning gold in the 1500. That was pretty good. Kathy Freeman and the subsequent calls across ABC, Channel 7, etc. Outstanding. That's good.
Thorpe and Hall is so good.
That's like brick wall stuff for me. It's not like I'm crying from that.
Yeah, I used to play it to my kids before their swimming lessons because they weren't that keen to get in the water. A bit afraid, so we'd get changed. I'm like, here, just have a look at this.
That's awesome.
Unbelievable pace on them.
They start strumming guitars.
Exactly. All right. I'm Clem. Yeah, you can be Clem. I'm Chris Feidler. I'm Ashley Callis.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm Olympics is very little after, I got to say.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe
sport.
North's first Brisbane 1994 major semi-final. Jason Taylor, 15-14, 8 minutes to go. Just the way Mario takes the ball up there.
Yeah.
Just before JT just jinks off the left. That gets me going.
I cried when James Faulkner threw his helmet into a chandelier in a Pakistan hotel. I was the hotel manager at the time.
I cried when I saw one of his posts that he then had to clarify. Oh, right.
Say it ain't so.
I was like, no, this is a great moment.
Oh, okay, I see.
This
yeah,
is a great moment.
Great moment. Yeah. All right. Well, hope that clears that up. Well done, everyone, for another week of TGC as the World Cup rolls on, and indeed Australian women's cricketing success returns to these shores after one of the darkest days in Australia's history, losing that T20I series amid a broader series, of which they now cannot lose that series. It's confusing, all ends up, but so's everything involving cricket at the moment. And I hope your team wins in the World Cup. If your team's still in it, must be nice, etc. We'll be back next week on TGC here, so see you guys whenever you want to tune in. Goodbye.